What's going on?
Hello, 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 boys and girls, ladies and gents, everything in between. Welcome. I can't believe we're still doing this. This is episode 7. Honestly, when I said that I was going to start a podcast, my friends kind of looked at me and they were like, okay, this is going to last 5 minutes. But we're back, baby. We're still finding cool things to talk about. Believe it or not, there is method to the madness. I do prep these episodes quite meticulously. And yeah, I think I'm getting into a good rhythm with it now. So yeah, whether you're a returning listener or you're new round here, welcome to Zoo's Reviews, the podcast where we discuss the latest and greatest in music, movies, and media. If I find it cool or interesting, then I'm going to talk about it. Simple as that. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get into it. If you're listening via YouTube, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It really does help the channel. If you're listening via Spotify, don't forget to follow the playlist, maybe favorite it or whatever options are available to you on Spotify. And if you're listening on SoundCloud as well, that's great. But I would love to push you towards one of the other two options because SoundCloud is great. Don't get me wrong. You can repost it, you can like it and stuff like that. But Spotify is a good place to be podcast wise, and YouTube, I'm really trying to build that channel up at the moment. So if you can support there as well, that would be amazing. Every single month, listeners are invited to submit their own music for review on the show. All you have to do is send your links to me on Instagram at official_Zurra. If you don't make music but you want to contribute to the show in some way, you're more than welcome to send through some quick fire topics, which we'll tackle at the end of each episode. Okay, can we talk about the weather? We're British. Most of the people listening, I assume, are going to be British. So, you know, the kind of small talk, the kind of go-to conversation that a lot of British people have when they meet people for the first time or they're just linking up is the weather. So let's get into that first of all, because I'm looking outside right now and it is gorgeous. I really wish I could be recording this out in the garden. But yeah, it just looks phenomenal. We are so lucky at the moment. I really hope that this isn't the full extent of our summer, because you know what it's like in this country. You know, we maybe get it a bit early or we maybe get it a bit late and then we're just disappointed the rest of the time. But I feel optimistic that we might have this for a very, very long time. I don't know whether that's global warming playing a part, but yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. But obviously, with the good comes the bad, right? Summer is not all fun and games. It's, you know, great, but there are some things that absolutely infuriate me about the good weather. And I'm going to get into a few of those right now. And maybe, you know, maybe I'm just kind of getting a bit hot-headed for no reason, or maybe this is something that you can resonate with as well. And I've kind of written down some notes as I've noticed things that have pissed me off about, like, you know, the good weather, summer, and all those good things. Let's start by talking about magnums, right? If you don't know what a magnum is it's an ice cream thing. It's on a stick. It's amazing. Magnums are like my go-to whenever it's a nice day. A lot of people kind of are die-hard Cornetto fans, but for me, it's got to be a Magnum. And it doesn't really matter which Magnum it is either. They all absolutely slap. But can we all get on the same page right now? There is a right and a wrong way to eat a Magnum. And I've seen in the past week alone countless people eating magnums the wrong way, and it's really starting to make my blood boil. So I'm going to open this up to you guys, you know, in the comments, in the live chat, you know, however you want to get this across to me. Let me know how you tackle a magnum, because I'm going to tell you the right way to do it right now. And if you if you have another method, I'm sorry to tell you it's wrong. Check yourself, look yourself in the mirror. Yeah, you've got some soul searching to do because you're doing it wrong. So this is the correct way to eat a magnum. Okay, first of all, you open the wrapper up. Okay, you get the magnum out the wrapper. Once you've got the magnum in hand, you start to tackle the chocolate bit on the outside before getting into any of the ice cream, right? The outer casing is an experience on its own. That outer layer of chocolate, it's just phenomenal. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, that in itself feels like, oh, what a nice little treat. And then once you've tackled all that beautiful chocolatey goodness on the outside, you then have an ice cream waiting for you on the inside. And it's like, wow, double fucking whammy. Let's go. Okay. And again, it doesn't matter what magnum you eat. It can be a white magnum, it can be a milk chocolate, a dark one, a double caramel, it can be an almond one, whatever tickles your pickle. That is the correct way to eat a magnum. So when I see someone just bite straight into a magnum, and here's the thing, I don't even blame you guys that do this, because the magnum adverts have someone doing that, and I feel like Magnum know exactly what's up. Like when Magnum like pay a ridiculous amount for a promo campaign to promote their latest ice cream flavor, whatever, and they have someone just biting straight into it like that, they know that's going to trigger people. They know that's going to trigger people. It certainly triggers me. And then when I see people doing that out in public, I just feel like slapping that magnum out their hand, buying them a new one, and say, try again, have another go because you're doing it wrong. Now, okay, just talking about it is actually making my blood pressure rise a little bit, so I'm going to bring things down ever so slightly. But if you're one of those people that eats a magnum without tackling the chocolate on the outside first, I'm so sorry, but we can't be friends. Please feel free to unsubscribe, unfollow if that's you, basically, because I just want to wheedle out all the wrong uns early doors, if that's okay. But anyway, now I've got that off my chest, I want to tackle the next thing that really kind of annoys me about summer, and that is when I'm in the gym, everyone's wearing PE kit. Shorts, t-shirt, bang, you're good to go. Maybe even some yoga bottoms if you're a girl, whatever. But there's a special breed of roadman who likes to take ownership of a corner of the gym, and they are in a, well, their outer layer is a hoodie. I even see people in gilets, right? Some roadmen in the gym in gilets. Like, what are you playing at, boys? Like, and jeans. And jeans. I saw this literally today as we speak. So yes, what's all that about, boys? What's all that about? I understand, you got a reputation to uphold. You like to, install fear into the weak, and stuff like that. But guys, going to the gym, talking in the corner for an hour in your hoodies, in your jeans, with a gilet sometimes. I don't know. It's not for me. I think you look ridiculous. But different strokes for different folks. It's not for me. I would rather turn up in my PE kit, nice Barcelona top, nice pair of shorts, get ready to rock and roll. When I look at the weather outside and I decide, okay, today's a good day to go to the gym, the last thing that's on my mind is whacking a hoodie and a gilet and jeans on. So roadmen, if you're listening, please come on. Get yourself a PE kit. We want to see those pasty shins. Get those pasty shins out. No problem at all. I haven't got a problem with it. And no one else will either. But yeah, dress appropriately, guys. Come on. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I could go on and on about things that piss me off, but you're not here to listen to me rant and ramble. You're here to kind of get into the stuff that we usually talk about. So we will get into that in just a little bit. But I just needed to get those things off my chest. Hopefully, I'm not alone. Hopefully, I'm not alone. Speaking of the sunshine, I wanted to get into my next topic real quick before we get into some of the deeper stuff. And that is my upcoming single, Sunshine. Couldn't come out at a better time if you ask me. It's dropping on the 30th of May on Vivify Records. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear this one. It really is a summer banger. It's got that kind of inner city good life, chord stabby vibe to it. It really does. It kind of feels like it was, obviously, like I was born in the 90s, but I'm not by no means a 90s child. If you're a 90s child, you were kind of going out and raving in the 90s. But I feel like I got to experience that through my parents almost as a child, because they were constantly listening to house, techno, garage, and stuff, in the house while me and my sister were growing up. So I kind of feel like this track coming up, Sunshine, is very much a kind of love letter to that period of time. One that I didn't really get to fully experience myself, but I kind of experienced it via my parents, if that makes sense. So Sunshine, yes, I'm super excited for you guys to hear it. It really does, pay tribute to the old whilst also carving away for the new as well. So you're going to start to see where the musical direction of the Zurra project is really heading. What Time Is It was a kind of nice layup for that, but Sunshine really is a step in that direction. So 30th of May. If you check out my socials, there should be a pre-save link available in my Instagram bio at official_Zurra. Please consider doing that because it really does make a massive difference on release day. And if you're able to spare a couple of quid and you can grab it on Beatport as well, again, any kind of charting activity really helps on release day. So massive thank you in advance for the support. And yeah, let's get that baby up the charts. I'm really excited for this one, and I know you guys are going to love it when you hear it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Now, every now and then I do a nice gig review on the show. I kind of talk about a recent experience, and I've got a few coming up that I'm definitely going to be talking about on the pod for sure. But something that a few people have kind of asked me in private about is my experience, the experience I had on my first ever DJ gig, right? And my first ever DJ gig was a bit of a unique experience because it was at Ministry of Sound, which is weird saying that out loud. But yeah, I thought I'd get into that a little bit. So So to kind of give you a little bit of backstory, like the Zurra project is coming up to about 9 years old. And before I started the Zurra project, I was making music. I've been producing like hip hop and trap and stuff like that, even some dubstep. But I started kind of producing some house, like deep house edits and stuff like that. Nothing too good, nothing crazy. But there were a lot of house DJs in my area growing up before I moved to uni. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to start sending these tracks out to people, see if they like it. It is what it is. If they don't like it, whatever. But it would be nice to turn up to one of these gigs in the local area. There was a nice popular one growing up called Casa Vida, which they're still doing bits in the background. They've also been hosting a festival the last few summers called Disconnect, which has been great. Big shouts to Dave and Gary and everyone there because they're yeah, amazing. But yeah, I used to send my tracks out and they weren't mixed or mastered or anything like that. I was just excited to send music to people. And one of the people, Mark, that I used to send tracks to, eventually he was like, you know what, dude, like, you've sent me all these tracks and I've been playing, specifically, he was playing an edit of Groovers in the Heart, which looking back was dog shit, I can't lie. But he liked it and he played it out at We Are Festival and stuff like that. And he said, you've been sending me all these tracks, dude. I really think it's time that you join me on one of these lineups that I play on. Are you free on this date? Blah, blah, blah. I think it was around Halloween, yeah, because I'd literally just moved to Guildford for university at that point, and that was around August, September time. And I was just like, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm available, no problem at all, no problem at all. And then I got off the phone to him, and I realised, damn, I don't know how to DJ. I just said yes to a gig at Ministry of Sound in a couple of weeks' time, and I can't DJ. That is the dumbest thing. But also, it kind of set me up because I was just like, okay, I've always kind of been interested in the idea of DJing, but I never kind of took the leap to actually do it. And this felt like a good enough reason for me to really kind of push myself into a little bit of a crash course, get myself familiar with the fundamentals. Whether I smashed the set or not, I wasn't concerned with that. I just wanted to do it to say that I'd done it. And whether I decided to DJ after that or not, whatever. This really kind of, at first, was a one and done thing for me. I thought, if I can say that I've played at Ministry of Sound, that's a pretty cool thing. Um, and admittedly, at the time, even though I was making dance music and stuff like that, I was still making predominantly hip hop and trap beats and grind beats and stuff like that. So I hadn't really transitioned into starting the Zura project properly at this point. So I decided, okay, cool. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just rent out a pair of decks. Like I'm gonna spend every single day locked in, just figuring it out, figuring it out. The first few days, I really, really struggled. Like, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was looking at all these buttons and all these knobs and faders, and I was just trying to use common sense to figure things out. I didn't even consider using YouTube or anything like that because I didn't want to I'm trying to think of the right word. I didn't really want to let anything influence how I learned because I thought it was important for me to develop my own style. And I had a very specific style of music that I was into at the time. I was really into like the future house boom with Oliver Heldens and Charmy and stuff like that. And that's all the music that I really knew, house wise, properly anyway. It wasn't until after this whole experience that I really dived into tech house properly. Deep house was kind of moving out of the. It wasn't as popular. It was kind of starting to fade away. Future house was kind of coming in. So that's really what I was kind of interested in. And Future House at the time was pretty simple. It followed all the same rules as Deep House and stuff. It was a little bit closer to EDM though. So it's very big room, very heavy, and really not what people wanted to hear at Ministry of Sound. But it is what it is. So I think the week leading up to it, after the first few days of me struggling, eventually, like, I had friends around me who could DJ or at least had a basic understanding of it. So my boy Phil, he was helping me out. My boy Matt was helping me out and stuff like that as well. And it was great. I really, really appreciated their feedback on what my mixing was like. And they just broke it down into simple terms. They were like, look, press play, bring the volume up, switch the basses, bring the volume on the other channel down. That's it. Obviously, you got beat matching and stuff like that. But at the time, I don't believe Record Box was a thing. I don't believe Record Box was a thing. I'm not 100% sure. And if it was, I definitely wasn't using it. So again, I was kind of handicapping myself in a way by not having that additional prep that Record Box can use. If you're listening to this and you don't know what Record Box is, it's basically a software where you can run your music ahead of time, and it will read the tempo, it will read the key, and all that good stuff. There's so many ways that you can kind of format your music library through Record Box. It's a super, super helpful tool. So yeah, it would have been good to know that ahead of time, but me being me, I just chuck tunes on a USB stick and hope for the best, and that meant waiting for the tempo to kind of read and stuff like that. It made beat matching and actually getting a mix going a little bit harder for me, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I wasn't to know. I was a rookie. So, I'm practicing and practicing, and, I really wanted to know this set inside out, every single transition, every single thing, blah, blah, blah. And I thought I had it nailed. I thought I knew where I was starting, I knew where I was finishing. I had an hour set at a pretty dog shit time as well. I think it was like 4:30 till 5:30 or something like that, AM, by the way. So at that point, no one's really gonna be at the venue. And if they are, then definitely not gonna be in the baby box, which is where I was playing. They're gonna be in the main room, the 103, the box, all the big DJs are in those bits. I think Andrew Rayel, trance DJ, was like the big act that was in the box. So it was more of a trance crowd than anything else, right? Something that I hadn't anticipated for at all. Didn't get to see my boy Mark on the night, unfortunately. We got to Ministry of Sound, we got there early as well, like, which I really, really regret, because then I was kind of working myself up nerves wise. And even to this day, I don't like turning up to a gig too early, because I then kind of get in my head a bit, which, it's kind of hard to avoid. But like, you start listening to what other people are playing, and you're kind of like, and you also open yourself up to, okay, there's a chance that other people might play some of the stuff that are in my set. So luckily, no one was playing Future House. And also, like, who the hell would? Because it definitely wasn't that kind of night at all. But it got closer and closer to my set time. I didn't manage to catch up with Mark. He played his set and left, I think. But the actual promoter for that room that we were playing in, I had the displeasure of meeting him a little bit later in the night, as it got closer to my set. I was there with my dad. I was there with some friends from uni. I was there with a couple of family friends from, way, way back as well. So, I really wanted to do this and make the most of this opportunity. 5 minutes before I go on, some guy in a suit comes up to me and he introduces himself. He's the quote unquote promoter for that room, and he's asking me for money. And even saying that out loud is absolutely killing me, because like I was just like, wait, what? He was just like, yeah, where's the cash? I was like, I think you got the wrong person. He was like, where's the money? The ticket money. And I was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, turns out basically my boy Mark, he got me involved, and I didn't realize this was the deal. That I had to basically sell tickets, and whatever tickets I sold, I gave that money to the promoter, and then I'd get a cut over a certain amount of tickets sold. That was new to me. I now know that that's actually quite a prominent promoter, a dirty promotion technique. And I still can't believe that that is still a thing. But anyway, this is my first experience of it, my last experience of it as well. And I was just a bit dumbfounded. I was just a bit like, I don't know what you want. Like, you're asking me for something, and I don't think I can help you. I think you got the wrong person. He was just like, no, you're definitely the right person. I'm waiting for the ticket money. You're not playing unless you give me the ticket money. And I was like, dude, I fucking spent that money. I was just like, yeah, I'm a fucking uni student, man. Of course I spent that money. But obviously I didn't tell him that at the time. But yeah, I was a little bit booked out, and I was like, right before my set, I don't need this. So I reached into my wallet. I had like a fiver in there and a bunch of receipts. So I just handed him that. He didn't even look at it. He put it straight into his pocket, and that was that. So he kind of walked away. Now I'm not gonna tell you this promoter's name. His name was John, and he was a knobhead, but. But that made me super, super cautious, super, super wary of how people can be in this industry right from the off. My first gig, possibly the worst experience I'm ever gonna have. Also, he cut my set off half an hour early. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, I kind of went back to. I was staying at a hotel with my dad that night. Went back to the hotel, and I was a little bit disheartened, a little bit pissed off, confused. I didn't have. I had more questions than answers, and I thought, you know what? It's never, ever, ever going to get any worse than that. That is by far the worst experience I will ever have as a DJ. And that is kind of lit a fire in me. Like now I feel like I really need to give this a fucking go, because if that's going to be the worst experience, it's all up from here. Let's just go. Let's just see what happens. So it was a good experience in as much as like it kind of gave me the fire in the belly I needed to really pursue something. And before I was kind of like, had my I was dipping my toes in all kinds of ponds. I was still like doing the grime and hip hop thing. I was still MCing, I was kind of making dance music here and stuff like that. But that really kind of created like this tunnel vision where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Things will never be as bad as it's been tonight. So let's just fucking crack on and give it a go. And so far, so good. I mean, we've come on leaps and bounds since then. So yeah, I'm super, super gassed. Like, if it weren't for John, maybe, Zurra wouldn't be a thing. Who knows? But yeah, John, if you're listening, fuck you and thank you at the same time. But yeah, that was my first gig. After that, literally the week after, what is it? I got chatting to a promoter who put on events in Guildford. He booked me to support DJ Luck and MC Neat. Following month, it was Artful Dodger, and then I'm in one of the best clubs in the UK, 33 Hertz. They heard about me. They had me supporting people like Red Light, DJ SKT, Low Stepper, so many more. And, that was when I really got my confidence as a DJ. I started to understand how dance music worked, and it helped my production as well by really diving into the DJing side of things. So, you know, I don't know how many people out there will have a worse experience than that, like for their first gig. But I thought it was important that I told you guys exactly how that goes, because it's not always, sunshine and rainbows in the music industry, especially as a DJ. We kind of get treated like, I always say it, but the whole playing for free, playing for exposure thing, we're almost treated like, second-rate citizens within the music industry. Like they would promoters and events managers would never, ever, ever consider asking a band or a singer-songwriter to play for free, but somehow they have this weird preconceived idea that we'd be okay doing 6 hours in an empty bar for no money. Absolutely not. That's not how things go. And I think that that's a serious conversation that needs to be had moving forward, because this whole playing for free, playing for exposure thing, I'm sorry, it ain't doing it. It ain't paying the bills. It ain't doing it for me, and it shouldn't do it for you either. So if you're a DJ that's been in that position, just know your worth. Don't settle for that shit, okay? Because once you do it once, you'll be known as the guy that plays for free. Cut a long story short, just don't do it. Just don't do it. But anyway, first gig review. I mean, we might as well review it. It was a 1 out of 5 zoos. It was a fucking dog shit night. And yeah, but at the same time, like I said, it lit a fire in my belly, and Zurra was born off the back of that. So, it is what it is. Only good things come out of shit situations sometimes. And yeah, this is the perfect, case of that. So, so yeah, anyway, fuck you and thank you, John. Appreciate you, dude. But yeah, hope I never see you again. I believe he's out the game now anyway. So yeah, you guys out there that are hoping to get a set of ministry, I hope that there aren't any promoters out there like him still operating. And if there are, don't fall for that shit. It ain't gonna work, okay? It ain't gonna work. You're just lining someone else's pocket at the expense of your own happiness. So there we go. Cool, so we're going to move into the music reviews now. We've got some wicked tracks from 3 new producers that we haven't featured on this show. So we're going to get straight into it from... Oh, hello, we got one from Mr. P. So my boy Lee, he's booked me for a few events this year so far. And yeah, they've been banging events. Sat down, did a little production tutorial with him not too long ago, and he's just put together his first track called Deep Inside. He's uploaded it to the Spinning Talent Pool. It's currently at number 11 in the Spinning Talent Pool charts as well, which is really, really cool. So big ups to Lee. I haven't had a chance to check this one out yet, so let's get into it. You can tell this guy listens to a lot of house music. He's definitely got the extended mix intro going on. So let's see where this goes. Drums sound good. Kicks a little bit heavy. Not a bad thing. Bass line. Okay. This is cool. This is cool, Lee. Love this already. Love this already. Wicked. Wicked. Man, this is really well produced. Wicked stuff, man. I love this. I'm spinning this in my sets, man. This is dope. By the way, this is Lee's first production. This is seriously vibey, dude. It looks like it's going to go down into a breakdown in just a second, so I'll start fading out there because, you know, Tech House, we kind of know we know what the score is for Tech House. We know where it's going, we know what it's doing. Dude, you understand the music. This is cool. Cool, so I'm going to start fading it down.
Oh man, it's a shame you only see the shell I live in, so you'll never know.
Man, I really didn't want to cut that one off, to be honest. That was absolutely wicked. Mr. P with Deep Inside. So let's get into it. Yes, I think, right, this is a really good track. This is really good. Yeah, I can only see this going higher in the Spinning Records talent pool charts as well, because this is really good. And you've obviously got a very good understanding of how dance music works, where music goes, you know, sections and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's really cool. Love the bass line. The bass line was amazing. The drums really did hit. I think the kick was a little bit overwhelming because I turned it right down and the kick was still really prominent. But for Tech House, I suppose that works, mate. That works. You know, a lot of cool details in there as well. Like, you know, you got some cool stabs. You got some cool like keys and, you know, different things happening in the background that aren't as prominent. And yeah, the arrangement's fantastic, mate. The arrangement is absolutely fantastic. Like I keep saying, you obviously understand the genre. You obviously understand how dance music works because it's formatted in such a way that it's like, you know, this sounds like something you'd hear Tool Room release, like without a doubt. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna have to have a little think about like where this could be improved. I would like to know how many, like, but I can tell there's a lot of top loops happening in the drums as well. There's a lot of top loops. I think that it's good to have a lot going on top. But did it all work? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll have to have another little listen and take, like, you know, kind of really take it in. But the drums did sound very crowded. It sounded like there was a lot going on. And sometimes less is more. I think for this style of tech house, this kind of tool roomy vibe that you're going for, I think a lot of percussion and a lot of tops do work, but you don't want to overcomplicate it to the point where, you know, when you start bringing out these loops, it starts sounding really empty. But no, honestly, dude, I don't really know what else to say, man. I mean, it's really well done, really well done. I think the mix could be improved ever so slightly, but that will come with time. This is your first production, and you know, credit where credit's due, mate. This sounds absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 zoos, and I cannot wait to hear what you do next, mate. I can't wait to hear what you do next because this is a fucking cracking start. So yeah, keep up the good work, dude. Keep up the good work. That was Deep Inside by Mr. P. Available now, I believe. If you go onto Spinning Records' talent pool, I don't know if you can download it from there, but he's gonna have it I know that he's going to have it available on Beatport soon. So if you like what you hear, please go and support because that was absolutely wicked. And it's definitely going in my sets, mate. Definitely going in my sets. You could potentially see that in an episode of Zoo Casa coming up. So yeah, well done to Mr. P. That was deep inside. And next we got some. Oh, hello. Sorry, I was having a bit of a moment with my eyes there. I was trying to read the name of the artist that came next, and I thought it said Dr. Dre, but it's Dr. Dredel, I believe. I was going to say, if we got a submission from Dr. Dre, like this podcast is kicking, but no, it's all good. We got Dr. Dredel instead, and this is a 4/4 remix of Just In Case. I'm interested to know which Just In Case this is. If this is what I think it is, then I am going to have a very good time with this. So let's get into it. Nice garagey drums. Always a winner in my book. I knew it. I knew it. I think so anyway. I could be wrong. But this is a remix of one of my favourite garage tunes. Yes! Come on! I'm so ready for this. I'm so ready for this. I hope this doesn't get flagged for copyright, but we should be all good. All I needed to hear was that whatever it is. I can't sing, so you know. But yeah, this is sounding great so far, dude. Yes. Come on. This tune still goes off to this day. My boy Alec played this recently at Andor, and the crowd reaction was dope. Looking forward to this edit. I want to see where this goes. Damn. Like, how can you not get gassed at this tune? Like, this tune is so good. Ooh, okay. Nice, okay, cool. Love the vocal stutters, man. Really nice detail. Really nice detail. Yeah, this is wicked. This is wicked, Dr. Dredel. Tell you what, how long have we got till the second drop? I'll let it drop into the second drop and then we'll start bringing it down. No. Man, this tune still. Nice. Cool. Good work, man. Good work. Right, Dr. Dredel, I'm going to start bringing it down. I know that there's not that long left, but I'm just conscious of time, so I'm going to start bringing it down now. Dr. Dredel with his remix of Just In Case. I don't know how to pronounce the original artist's name. Is it Jaheim? Who cares? Garage Classic. UK Garage Classic still goes off to this day, and that was his 4/4 remix. So let's get into it, man. Really, really cool. Love the vocal stutters. The skippy drums, they always are a winner in my books. And yeah, overall, a really, really cool remix. Really, really cool remix. I think that, yeah, like, you've obviously incorporated some elements from the original and stuff like that, like the guitar and stuff like that. That's really cool. Maybe incorporate a little bit more of that in the drop section as well, because it was kind of coming in towards the end. But like, I think just to kind of keep the melodic content going on, because it goes into obviously this 4/4 garage drop. But But I think, yeah, maybe introduce a little bit more of the original into it as well. I don't know. Again, it's down to taste when you're dealing with like bootlegs and remixes and stuff. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with this. Really, really impressed. The gunshots before the drop and stuff, really loud. Really, really loud. And I've got to be honest, I think that takes away from the impact of the drop because unless that drop is absolutely mahoosive after those like big gunshots, then yeah, you're kind of taken away from the drop. The drop itself, I thought was good. It was vibey. I think it's definitely going to work in the clubs. But I was kind of expecting more kind of speed garagey, Reese vibes and stuff like that. Again, that's just expectation, and like that's just because it was kind of set up that way. The drop works absolutely, but I think if you're gonna have that big like rewind gunshots and stuff before the drop, that drop really needs to slap a lot harder. If not, bring the gunshots out of it completely. Maybe just have the vocal, because a little trick and or tip for the producers out there as well. Like, you really want to bring things right down. So you can do a big build up, but right before the drop, you want to bring the levels of everything right down. So that it's like minimal energy for like maybe the last 4 beats before the drop. And then that drop slaps way, way harder. Because it's almost like there's payoff. It's like the build up of tension, a release of tension, and then bang, straight into, the hard hitting stuff. And I think that's where this could be improved for sure. Is like the impact of the drop is really kind of negated due to the big build, the gunshots, the rewind sound, and stuff like that. And then the drop kind of feels like not as much of a payoff as it could do. So maybe look at the build up if you're happy with how the drop sounds, which I would be because it definitely works. Have a look at how you're building this up. I know that the build up is very similar to the original. In fact, it might be exactly the same as the original, to be fair. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back and listen to that now. But yeah, maybe do something slightly different in the build up to make that drop have more of an impact, or change the drop, make that heavier, because I think either way, that's going to make this a more complete track. But yeah, really, really well done, man. Super, super impressed. That was Just In Case by Dr. Dredel. I'm going to give that 3 out of 5 zoos. 3 out of 5 zoos. I think that's fair. I think that there's definitely room for improvement. Obviously being a remix and stuff like that as well. But yeah, really good work, man. I think this is definitely going to do the damage in the clubs, and I think an old school garage crowd will definitely vibe to this version as well. So big ups to Dr. Dredel for sending that in. Absolutely massive remix there of Just In Case. And then finally, we're going to move into some 140. 140 is where it gets naughty by Leor. This is a new one called Pressure. He has kind of told me in advance that this isn't mastered yet, so the levels are going to be slightly lower. So I'm going to try my best to boost that. But yeah, just so that you guys are aware ahead of time. I've been told ahead of time as well, so I'll take that into consideration when I'm providing my feedback. But this is Pressure by Leor. Let's get into it. Love the atmospherics, love how spacey this is already. For those who don't know, 140 dubstep, grime, all that kind of deep medi stuff, that's really what got me into electronic music in the first place. So this is a breath of fresh air for me. No genre is off limits when you send your music in for review as well. So for anyone looking to get their music in and maybe make something slightly left field, doesn't matter, send it across. Nice breaks. Oh man, I think this is gonna bang. I'm so excited. Oh, Leor! You bad man. Oh, dude. That growl is so evil. Oh! Man, this is cool. This is really cool. It's giving me Khan and Neek vibes. Komodo. Sound design's fantastic, by the way. Great, great work. This part of the vocal is really cool. It's really working for me. Nice, cool. Love the fact that you've included the breaks on this second drop section. Oh, dude, this is so cool. This is so cool. Man, I cannot wait to hear cannot wait to hear the final master of this. This is so good. Just conscious of time, Leor. I'm going to start bringing it down. I really don't want it to end, but yeah, I'm going to start bringing it down just because of time. But this is cool, man. This is really, really cool. Wicked, man. That was Pressure by Leor. Again, not the final mix, not the final master, but really, 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 really good. So I've said this on the show before, like I kind of, even if it's not a finished idea, I love dissecting that even more because, we can kind of get into the nitty gritty and kind of maybe help craft a better thing further down the line. But I always favor like kind of giving tracks their props on the creativity, like the creative angle rather than the technical angle, because 99.9% of consumers don't care about the technical stuff. They just want to know that it's a cool idea and it's original and cool music, And this is very, very cool, very reminiscent of that deep medi sound, which I really enjoyed, back when it was super, super prominent with Komodo, Khan, Neek, all those people. And yeah, this is so cool, man. I really, really had a good time listening to this. I think that the sound selection in the drop with all those kind of bass noises, just phenomenal, mate. Really, really well put together. Great choice of sounds. All the kind of the ragga vocals, all the kind of dubby influences, right, which we hear so much in this music, but it's so easy to get wrong, but you've absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And yeah, man, this is just cool, dude. Like the atmospherics were great. Again, it's really hard to judge this. Without it being the final mix and master, but the drums aren't quite working for me at the moment. Like they're kind of a little bit flat, a little bit weak. They're kind of getting lost in the sauce a little bit. You got so much going on that like the drums, obviously this 140 style drums are so important. Especially that snare. That snare really has to pop, and at the moment it's just falling a little bit flat. The kick as well is just falling a little bit flat. That's just personal preference, and again that might be improved when you get round to the final mix and master. But damn, I really enjoyed this, man. I really enjoyed this. Not much more to say. I mean, the ideas are great. The female vocal's not always working for me. Actually, I've got to say the female vocal isn't always hitting. I like the bit where it went into the breakdown and it was like the kind of pressure bit, blah blah blah. But the bits you got sprinkled in the drop section where it's kind of like the end of that kind of phrase, not quite doing it for me at the moment. Maybe you could do with like really kind of wetting up the reverb, bringing the dry right down, and almost have it as a kind of like underlying atmospheric rather than such a prominent vocal in those sections, and then in the breakdown do exactly what you've done, because I think it sounded great there, but during the drop not as interesting to listen to. But yeah, overall, really good work, man. Really, really good work. Again, I think I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 zoos because I love all the ideas that are in there. I think it's really well executed. And considering this isn't the final master, it sounds fantastic, mate. So I'm keen to hear more, Leor. That was amazing. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one when that drops as well. That was Pressured by Leor, 4 out of 5 zoos. Yeah, mad, absolutely mad. It's good to finally get some 140 on the show as well. We've been really lucky to have some drum and bass. We've had some garage, we've had some, house and stuff. We've even had some kind of like disco-y stuff as well. But techno. I'm just trying to think what else. We've had all sorts, but we've never had any 140. So yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Any more 140 producers out there that want to get their music listened to and reviewed, please send it across. That is my shit. So yeah, just fire it away. But yeah, well done to everyone who sent their music in. Yeah, and thank you so much for sending it in as well. You guys know what to do. If you're a producer and you're listening, send it to me via Instagram, preferably. I always say this every time, but people find new ways to send me stuff. So, however you can get it to me, but please try and send it to me on Instagram. I have a much better way of keeping track of it that way. But yeah, really, really impressed with all of this week's submissions. We've got a bunch of new stuff to listen to next week, or on the next show. Sorry, we're doing this fortnightly at the moment. And then yeah, I've also got my first guest lined up, so we're going to be recording that show in the next couple of days. And then once I start getting guests on regularly, we're going to start listening to some of their, unreleased demos and start kind of breaking those down, or maybe like music that they've worked on for other people and stuff like that. So the actual format of the show will be slightly different when I've got guests on, but we'll still be like, diving in and reviewing unreleased music and cool stuff like that. So yeah, lots of cool stuff to look forward to. Lots of cool stuff to look forward to. Now, I'm just conscious of time. We've got about 15 minutes left before we usually wrap up. So this might go over again. It keeps happening. So I just like waffling on. What can I say? But I wanted to get into just really briefly something that I've been doing recently in my local community, and that's providing DJ workshops for kids in schools. Kids that might be struggling in mainstream education and that might need something slightly different to engage with to kind of help integrate them back into like mainstream learning. And yeah, these DJ workshops have been working a treat in the schools that I've been going to. I've been going to schools, locally in Bristol. I've been going out to Lincoln. I've been going out to Oxford and stuff like that. And it's been really, really cool to kind of share my passion with what could potentially be the next generation. These kids may potentially get a spark for this, and there are a few students that I work with that have definitely got the bug, the DJing bug that I got when I first started, and they're getting it at a much earlier age than I did. And it's nice to see these kids focus on something and really dive deep and find a passion. And it kind of reminds me of what I was like at that age. It's you know imaginations are crazy and stuff like that, and there's a lot of distractions and blah blah blah, and it's hard to kind of hone in on something, especially in a school environment. It's even harder because you've got your mates. You want to be, you know you just want to have fun while you're at school. But yeah, some of the kids that I'm working with, they really, really do struggle in every other area of school other than what I'm going and providing, which is, I feel, a lot of responsibility, but it's been really, really rewarding as well. When you see someone finally get it and they're really kind of putting the work in and they're developing week on week, and they're starting to show a real keen interest in music, and they come into sessions and they're like, "Oh, have you heard this track? Blah blah blah." That's honestly, like, that's where I really get like the most out of it, because it's just like, okay, cool. This has gone further than the 1 hour session that I've got with you. You're now going out and you're doing your own kind of crate digging, effectively finding new music and downloading DJ apps on their phone and computer and practicing and blah blah blah. So, and that's been via a company called Noise Academy. Joe at Noise Academy has been fantastic. I feel really, really honored to represent the brand in the southwest of England as well. So yeah, you should see more from me and Noise Academy over the next few months. But just wanted to give them a quick shout out, because yeah, it's been a really cool part of my life recently. I've been doing it once or twice a week, and I've got to say, I love it. I absolutely love it. And the workshops are super, super, user friendly. Anyone can jump in a session and kind of get the fundamentals of DJing pretty much from day one. Um, and it's so cool to see everyone just getting super creative with it and try finding their own tricks. And hey, they're teaching me some stuff sometimes, and I'm looking at them like, how the hell did you manage to figure that out? So it's been really cool. It's been really, really cool. So yeah, if you're a DJ, and you potentially want to get involved in that, Noise Academy is a great company to get involved in. If there are schools available in your area to work with, then they will absolutely find you that work. They're fantastic. But yeah, big ups to Joe, big ups to all the guys at Noise Academy, big ups to all the students as well. That I know some of them sometimes listen to the radio show, the podcast, or House Party, or Mixed by Zurra. Some of them have managed to find me on Spotify and YouTube. So just wanted to say a big ups to yourselves as well. Keep doing the good work, because you're all absolutely smashing it. And I'm sure I will be front row, like Pyramid Stage, Glastonbury, watching some of you play at some point. So yeah, keep up the good work, gang. You're absolutely killing it. Finally, before we get into the listener topics, I just wanted to do a quick little review of something that I sat down and watched not too long ago. It came out and I completely forgot that it was coming out, so I kind of had to play a little bit of catch up. Didn't get a chance to rewatch season one, but they do a good enough job of kind of recapping season one at the start. And this is Andor that we're talking about. Star Wars Andor. If you don't know, Cassian Andor, I've got to be honest, one of the least interesting characters when he was first introduced. I wasn't interested in Andor at all. And it wasn't until the Andor show came out, season one, where I was like, this is the best Star Wars has ever been. This is, and season two doubles down on that. Like, it is just absolutely insane. I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about it, so I do apologize, but it's so good. It's so unbelievably good. I put a little post up on my story the other day, because after I finished watching it, I was like, I need to tell people to check this show out. Like, it's so well written. And the second season in particular, it takes place over the course of a few years leading up to a big event in Star Wars lore. I'm not going to ruin it for you, because if you do watch the show, it's kind of working up to something. But if you know canonically, and what's the word for it? What is the word for it? It was literally on the tip of my tongue. Chronologically within the story of Star Wars, you know where it fits, you know where it's going. But I'm not going to spoil that here. Just go and watch the show. Um, and yeah, I had such a good time with this show. I had such a good time with this show. And some of the things that happen between the rebellion, which is getting a lot more kind of there are more members, there are more people joining the rebellion, more people that are like standing up against the empire and stuff like that, prominent political figures, all the way to kind of scavengers and stuff like that across the galaxy. um, and you kind of see the relationship between the Empire and the propaganda they put out about the rebels and stuff like that, and how the rebellion reacts to that. And you look at that, and it's so well written in the show that it makes you think about like conflicts that are taking place on our planet right now, like what's happening between Israel and Palestine, like what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, like what's happening between possibly there are so many like there are so many I'm trying to think of the right word. There are so many people out there right now that like identify as it could be Kurdish or something like that, or it could be from Somaliland as opposed to Somalia. And like these people are fighting for identity, they're fighting to be recognized in the world. And the most prominent ones at the moment are obviously what's happening with the Palestinians, right? But when you watch this show, it really kind of makes you wonder, like the information that we're being fed about these conflicts and what's happening, like, is it as it's being told to us? I don't know. It really makes you question that. And I think that the writers between this show definitely would have thought about that, because it's just so well done. And the first thing that goes into your mind is just like, this is happening on our planet right now. Obviously not on a galactic scale, but on a world scale, and yeah, they've took one of the least interesting characters from his introduction in Rogue One. I just didn't care too much about him. I thought he had a very important role in that film. Again, I'm not going to spoil that, but that film has been out for over 10 years now. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? That is one of the best entries in the Star Wars lore as well. Um, but yeah, they took one of the least interesting characters and made this whole story around him and how the rebellion kind of develops and stuff. And they made him the most interesting Star Wars character that's come out in the last 20 years. Easily. Easily. Um, And yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Star Wars done so well. You don't need Jedi, you don't need Sith, you just need. You still have that element of good and bad. You still have the Empire. You still have the rebellion. You still have people that want to do right in the face of evil. And that for me is enough. That for me is enough. All the planets looked amazing. The different settings, the different people, the different races, different political views, and because let's not, let's call it what it is. Star Wars is not really like a it's not really a stereotypical sci-fi property, mind you. Actually, it really is, but but at the core of its story, it's a political drama. Like that's exactly what Star Wars is. Like, yeah, you throw a couple lightsabers in here, you chuck the Force in there, but at the heart of the story, it's a political drama, and that is more prominent in this story in Andor season 2 than anything else in Star Wars, and that's why for me it's just like the best Star Wars story I think ever. Um, Big words, big words. But when you watch the show, you will 100% understand. It's easily the best show of 2025 so far. It gets 5 out of 5 zoos. I mean, Andor season 2 was just perfect from start to finish. There weren't any episodes that I thought were like filler. It was all so good from start to finish. Every single episode. There's one episode where, you know what, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to get into it. But like, there's one episode where I was genuinely shocked and left sat in silence. Oh my god, I'm getting choked up. What's going on? I was left in silence for a long time after that episode. I was just like shocked again because there are so many parallels to that and what's happening on our planet right now. And it's a crime. It's an injustice, and it really does make you think about things like that. So anyway, 5 out of 5 zoos. Andor season 2, by far the best show of 2025 so far. And there are so many good shows out at the moment, and they all seem to have come out at once as well. I really still need to get into The Last of Us season 2. The Studio, which I've been watching on Apple TV, I'm definitely going to do a review when we get to the end of that because that is probably the best comedy series I've watched in a very very long time. It's so good, but we'll get into that in a separate episode. But yeah, Andor season 2, firm 5 out of 5 zoos. It's just so good. Please go check it out if you're into Star Wars, and even if you're not and you haven't explored the first season, I can tell you that this is like the best Star Wars story you'll ever watch without it feeling too Star Warsy. Okay, I don't know if I've done that justice, but hopefully that makes sense. But anyway, we'll move on. 5 out of 5 zoos, go check it out. Finally, to wrap up this episode, we've got a few minutes left before we really need to wrap this up. But yeah, we're going to get into some listener topics. So I'm going to jump into the first one right here from Rosie Soleil Pike. Hello, Rosie. How do you find a banging sample? That's a nice, easy one. So yeah, thank you for sending that in, Rosie. Well, I suppose like if you're sampling music, if you're sampling something that already exists, then the key to it is listening to a lot of music. That inspiration can strike at any time. The other day, this was completely subconscious as well. Like I don't even know how this kind of came into my brain, but I was listening to the soundtrack of Def Jam Vendetta, I believe it was, on Spotify. I just found a Spotify playlist. I thought they have a banging soundtrack. I want to listen to those tunes. And a tune called Nothing by Nore came on, and there's some really cool bongos at the start. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I wonder what that sounds like at 128 beats per minute. Put the track in, 128 beats per minute, sped it up, stem split. It gave me those bongos, and I was like, I'm taking that. I'm taking that. So that can kind of happen at any time. It's literally just a case of listening to loads and loads and loads and loads of music because you're gonna find something even when you're actively not trying to find something, you're going to find something where it's like, oh, that would work really well. Like, this is something from like a jazz tune that would definitely sound amazing over UK garage or whatever it might be. So I think the key to it is just listening to loads of music. I hope that answers your question. Next, why do we not hear more dub influences on house music? And that's from my old man. Thank you very much for sending that in. So why do we not hear more dub influences on house music? I think we hear a lot of it on obviously jungle, we hear a lot of it on garage, but not so much house music. You're absolutely right. I think that I think James Hype. Let's use James Hype as an example because he doesn't use dubby influences, but a lot. I think a lot of his bass lines, right, are very simple, very kind of um legato. Like the notes are held for a very long time. So I can hear some dubby influences in his stuff for sure. Um, but I wouldn't say really like you kind of hear bits and bobs of it in house music, but not really as much as you would hear in the music that comes out of Jamaican sound system culture and stuff like that, reggae and dubstep and all that good stuff. I'd like to hear more of it. I'd like to hear more like dub and reggae influence in house music for sure. Like every now and then you get a track that maybe samples some Bob Marley or something like that. But yeah, no, I think those dub bass lines really kind of do lend themselves to house music as well. Like um and they just sound amazing on a rig as well. You know what? You've absolutely cooked me there. I think I might have to have a little play with that this afternoon after I finish recording this because that's a great idea. Why don't we hear more of that? Honestly, I actually don't have the answer. But you've sparked some inspiration there, so I'll get back to you on that very shortly. But thanks for sending that in anyway. Yeah, dub on house music. What do you guys think? I think that's a match made in heaven for sure. And then finally, original vocals versus splice samples. What are the pros and cons? Okay, I'm gonna have to take a sip of my drink quickly because this is a really good one. Really good one. Okay, this is a phenomenal topic and one that should definitely be discussed on a bigger scale than this because Splice, for those who don't know, is a sample library to help producers find samples for their, for their projects way more quickly, way more efficiently than just downloading sample packs and kind of sifting through that. One of the kind of negative impacts of that is now everyone has access to the same bank of vocal samples. So whenever I'm going through promos on a Monday, when I'm getting stuff ready for my radio show, I often listen to like 5 or 6 promos that have come through my inbox, and they've all got the same vocal in, all from the same splice pack, blah blah blah. It's hard to avoid. It's hard to avoid nowadays because it's so easily accessible. Now, the pros to obviously using splice samples is that you can get tracks wrapped up very quickly. You can have an instrumental, you can find the right vocal, you can drag it in, track done, boom. But the con obviously is that like it's not truly an original track. Unless you do something original with the vocal and you're not just dragging and dropping it in, then it kind of gets lost in the source and it just becomes another disposable, another disposable dance music track. But yeah, if you just want to get the ball rolling production wise and you want to start releasing music and you maybe don't have access to a studio or a good mic or you don't have a network of singers and songwriters around you, splice vocals are amazing. They sound phenomenal and the convenience is worth its weight in gold as well. So I completely understand. And I use splice vocals from time to time, but now I'm really out of the habit of using that. I'm just making instrumentals and reaching out to people. But yeah, it's everyone's done it. Everyone's done it, and some splice vocals have even ended up in the charts. Abby Flynn is a very famous singer songwriter who has recently just done a tune with Nathan Dorr, but before that, her voice was used on Believe in Me by Navos, I believe it is, which was in the charts. That got a lot of radio play. What's the other one? So Much in Love by DOD as well. Her voice has been everywhere. Her voice has really, really been everywhere. And I'm so glad that she's finally getting her flowers because she's been at this game for so, so long. And Splice kind of made but also kind of held her back at the same time. She kind of signed a dodgy deal for the packs that she was doing. And it was great that her voice was on radio and stuff like that, but she wasn't getting paid for it. So there are always going to be pros and cons. Always going to be pros and cons, but for original, I don't think that there are really. Oh, I just smacked my mic there. Sorry. I don't necessarily think there are any cons. I suppose the main con of like getting an original vocal is like you may have to bounce that idea backwards and forwards with the vocalist for quite a long time to get something going. Or like it might require a lot more time and effort to actually sit down and write stuff yourself. The pro obviously is you are getting an original vocal. No one else will have that vocal. And you're kind of getting invested in the songwriting process and stuff like that. So I think, to any producers that are listening, I think definitely head in the way of original, like 70% original, maybe 30% splice vocal. If you're going to start producing a lot of music and you really want to invest a lot of time and effort into this, don't be afraid to use splice, but prioritize original. It can be more time consuming, but definitely more rewarding. And I know publishing, record labels, they definitely prefer it. Definitely prefer to hear something original as opposed to the same splice vocal, just over a different demo that they've heard a million times just that day. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that kind of puts things into perspective for any producers listening who may be considering jumping to doing everything original as opposed to jumping on splice. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because they're there and they're so good. They sound amazing. But yeah, you do sacrifice a bit of originality if you consistently go to the splice angle. So yeah, I hope that's given you something to chew on anyway. So we'll do a quick little recap before we wrap things up. So I told you guys about, well, first of all, I had a little bit of a rant about my summer pet peeves, but then we got into my upcoming single Sunshine, which is out on the 30th of May on Vivify Records. We then discussed my first gig, 1 out of 5 zoos, absolute dog shit. Big ups to John for being a knobhead. We got into the music reviews, so we first had Deep Inside by Mr. P, that got 4 out of 5 zoos, really good work there. Dr. Dredel came through with a wicked little 4/4 remix of Just In Case, that got 3 out of 5 zoos. And then Leor with Pressure, some 140 naughty goodness, that got 4 out of 5 zoos as well. Big ups to them for sending their tunes in. I then went and had a little kind of introduction to what I do with Noise Academy and the DJ workshops I do in my local community. We then got into my review of Andor Season 2. That got a firm 5 out of 5 zoos. It's absolutely banging. You guys just need to watch it. It's so good. And then we got into the listener topics as well. And that about wraps up episode 7 of Zoo's Reviews. Whew, breathe. Okay, I'm going to go out in the sunshine now. I'm going to go whack on my PE kit. I'm going to go do my thing, sunbathe, maybe whack some, I don't know, is it sun cream weather? Yeah, it looks like sun cream weather outside. So that's what I'm going to go do. Whatever you guys get up to, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.